Because it's just.
Well, I sit right across the.
Yeah. I do it at that. It's whenever somebody has shit. Yeah, me too. No, they don't. I had talked to your, people, and it's gotten a lot better. You know, it used to be some of the, I think some of the towers at one point, I think Redstone's position was we don't do trucks. And some people have been there forever, say, we don't do trucks. That's not true, you have to do trucks several times. It was, they would make them take blood out.
Harry, what happened to your wrist there? And they got control of it?
So they've gotten a lot better.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the other was running down, the way it's set up. There's some people in the States.
We probably told people.
But they know what they're doing. But if you go to one of the branches, it can be.
Got it.
But it's just the way it is. Are they still working?
Well, here you go. You guys can see here.
You just do a
Hey,
translation
Lisa. Hey there.
about that one.
We have a great speaker today.
Yes, we do.
Well, thank you for suggesting.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to mute before my dogs start barking or something.
That's what happened to me. We have two Shelties. They're noisy.
Like my husband came and he said they were.
Just put your email address down.
Cycles in and out.
Yeah, Chris.
No, but I normally don't hear. But I did make a game last night.
Yeah, well, the phone number was a Michigan. Yeah.
Jim, you're.
I just have to rub it,
Back.
sorry,
No, I can just ask you.
No, it's not to me, it's done. That's why I have to cross the back here. There must be about 3 of them. How are you? How's your building going?
You know your calendar.
Very well. Go back to church. Mission conference.
You know.
Well, all partially.
Because you're using social security number as the EIN number for us,
That would be good news for you.
Once I get to the neighborhood, sponsor. So the last time I heard, let's see, I'm pretty sure I can. Because nobody knows who.
Hey, so after you start yourself, electrical. Somehow, do use certain concepts. You slap on great house.
Part of the, county.
You got, so when you do all right now,
Is it terrible?
I like that.
Way to go. Hey, you funny.
We have several. This is too much. Talk about art that way.
Yeah. I'm all over.
Well, what Habitat does, there's no builders. Right. What Habitat is.
Yeah, I thought you had a new kitty and then it said you were off.
Welcome to the Rotary Club of Greater Huntsville. Good afternoon, everybody.
Yeah.
Great to see all these beautiful smiling people in here and on Zoom. If y'all will stand up with me, we'll get the meeting kicked off with a great song from our good friend Bill.
Thank you, Chris. We'll visit Roger Miller today for King of the Road. Trailer for that duty says, no, I ain't got no cigarettes on 2 hours of pushing broom. Hey, man, he finally hit the road. Destination man. Oh, now soon as you pay no union dues, I suppose. Oh, so he's high and found. Sure, but nothing's real. Man, he finally hit the road. Oh, every engineer on every train, all the children, all the names, every hand out, every hand, everybody. got the main lot when no one's around, I say, trailer goes rooms to let me be six. No, no gas. I ain't got no cigarettes, I say, 2 hours of pushing through my 8 by 12. I'm a man of 85, in the road.
Station on that one, Bill. I like it. All right. It's Ed leading us in the pledge today. Ed, ready to go?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you'll bow with me, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we're thankful for this day. We're thankful for each person here, their families. We pray for an end to COVID. Hope it comes sooner than later. We pray for all our men who protect our freedom each day, the men and women in uniform, or in armed forces. Especially pray for our men in uniform in blue that enforce our laws and their families. Thank you for all that you provide for us. Thank you for Rotary, with our motto, service above self. Help us continue to think of our fellow man. For we ask this all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All right, we'll get started here in about 2 minutes.
So they sell the house in reality.
Okay, nice to meet you. Everybody's been president.
Have a day. Have a day. Its own
You
thing.
decided to come hang out with us today, huh? That's awesome.
And I talked to him. She would want to stay. They're probably somewhere.
Good, thank you.
Is that Tennessee? Just like. We had a big family event there. All of our daughters were there. I decided to downsize it. Are you from? My daughters. Their homes in. Heads up to
You need to be
Where is that? East, west, or south, or central, north, and south? Big.
the second. You weren't here the last time I was here. I was gonna look and see if I could pay online, then I did get around to it. That's good.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember if there was something on that TV where we could. That we could pay. Yeah, I'll play with that one either.
Yeah, we've
I don't
got,
like it. I did too.
spray insulation.
Getting them emails with the account was getting that.
this one. So this would be Snow White.
Companies, they do that. We have
Still in that legend stuff.
like our basically, I used to.
Really not mountainous at all.
Okay.
Hard to do. You can do half faces, I guess. And you probably, if you got a cross, you can go down through there, and you can do that as well. Getting it into the exterior wall.
How are you doing? Get a mile.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. We're gonna get this show started. We've got a lot to cover today. A lot of good things going on. We had a great speaker, one of our own today, we're excited about. Before we jump into some announcements and everything going on, we want to recognize all of our guests and fellow Rotarians here today. While she's up, I'm going to call her out, but Miriam Barkley is here today, our honorary member. Miriam, it's great to see you. Thanks for being here today. All right, our good friend Bob Barnes, we're going to call you out every single week, brother. We're glad you're here. Visiting Rotarian. We have a membership application process for our friend Alex McDowell here from Scouts. Alex, thanks for being here today. My lovely wife Stacy is here today. Stacy. Annie has a guest today.
This is my wife.
Stand up, Carol, right? All right, Carol, thanks for being here. We have a potential member who's come a couple times. We're excited about Jim Watson. Jim is here. Thanks for being here, Jim. And we have a guest of Thornton Stanley today. Mr. Reggie Mitchell is here today. Reggie, thanks for being here. All right. That's a great picture. We like it too, but you look great. We're excited. We're glad to have you here today and talking on estate planning 101, so that we help need, and unfortunately more now these days than ever. Upcoming presentations next week. I'm excited about this one. Anybody know who Chris Brenna is? So Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Grammy Award winner, original drummer for the band 9 Inch Nails, was also the keyboardist and drummer for Marilyn Manson, I think. But I mean, this guy has been in music his whole life, and I've seen him give some presentations, and it's not about rock and roll, it's really about sound and music. And it's really eye-opening, really enjoyable. So excited to have Chris here next week. Also, there's a lot going on in downtown Huntsville, as we know. So Chad Emerson, president of downtown Huntsville, he will be here, have a presentation, everything going on in Huntsville. Also really excited about Ryan Murphy from the Orion Amphitheater. That thing's coming together fast. So I'm excited to have some concerts in there shortly. I think they're already selling concert tickets to concerts there. So that's fantastic. And then we've got a number of other great guests that we're working on dates for. So excited about all our upcoming speakers. All right, here we go. We got another one coming, folks. We're going to keep this ball rolling with these ramp builds. Cliff, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, this is a very special ramp that we're gonna be doing here this Saturday, but the following Saturday. You all know Nicole. Nicole has a very close high school friend that unfortunately about a year and a half ago contacted ALS. She is confined slowly as they progress down. She's now in a power chair and can't get out of her house. Now, this one is really one of those stories where she can't get out of the house. We are going to change that next Saturday, the 12th of February. You got sign-up sheets out there. Please come out and help us. She can't get out of her house. So whether it's snowing, or it's raining, or it's sun shining, or the wind's blowing, it doesn't matter. Guess what's gonna happen on the 12th of February? We're gonna build a ramp. because she's gonna be able to roll down there and get into her car. And, so I really would like some help on that, and especially Nicole, if you wanna say anything else, but this is gonna be a great ramp that we're gonna build, and we will change this light next Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you, but.
She's just gonna be a super grateful client if we can get this done,
But we will get it done. So,
because we tried to go down one of those metal ramps and it was scary and she almost killed me.
okay. Well, it's gonna help a lot of people out. We're excited about that, Nicole. Thanks for bringing the opportunity to us. Don't forget, the Wednesday before is the pre-build at Casa. Okay, we always need some help there. And on Friday, Stanley brings the trucks, a few guys, we need some help with the materials. All right, so, Reed Kloss really tried to make us go clean the Veterans Memorial in 15 degrees last week, but I said, Reed, we can't do this, man, we can't do it. Reed on Zoom.
I showed up. Nobody else was there.
You can you can call BS on that one, Reed. Reed was nice enough to say, hey, that's just too cold for us to be out there cleaning. So we rescheduled that for this Saturday. We would love to have a great turnout from Rotarians. We've only had a couple the past few times. It's a marquee project for us that we're going to get and have received a lot of recognition for in this community. So love to see a lot of you there on Saturday. All right, what we got here? Tell's messing with me. I knew you'd get me back to the thing. Yeah, we can start there. That works. All right, we're still doing the January National Blood Donation Month. We're taking blood donations. We're asking for you to get blood donations through Valentine's Day on February 14th. We are receiving donations to our foundation for each person that says they went and gave blood. So please let myself or Mary Edgecombe know if you donated, and we'll get those donations to our foundation through that process. Mary, I didn't know if you have any update on numbers. I think we definitely had a couple already go and give blood.
We're up to 3, Chris.
Awesome. We're getting at least one a week right now. That works. We know one donation can save 3 lives, so that's great. All right. Roger, you want to come in? We've got a quick announcement. Our Uganda schools are back open after 2 years and making great progress.
Chris, so the Nakatomi School 2 years ago, we just completed the classroom building, 125 kids show up, and then the government shut things down for 2 years. Now they've opened it back up. The school now has 257 children.
Wow.
And 11 teachers. But that's not the story. If you look right here, what are all these kids sitting in? Can you see?
Oh, real student desks and chairs.
Yeah, little lawn chairs. You think, what's this about? So in Uganda, this is one of the poorest sub-counties of one of the poorest counties, districts that we deal with. So the deal is, we had 125 chairs, but we got 257 kids. So I talked to the director and the deputy and said, why can't we just get grass mats? Because traditionally, when you go to Ugandan families' home, they sit you down on a grass mat, because they don't have furniture, they don't have room for furniture. And everybody has a grass mat, or either you sit on the dirt. I said, wouldn't that be wonderful? These young kids, they'd love to sit on a grass mat and have stories told and all that. I talked to my director on the phone the other day, and she said, Roger, you don't understand. The families they come from, they may have one chair at their home, or they may have one stool. The people that are allowed to sit on that stool or chair is either a visitor like myself or dad. Children are not allowed to sit in that one chair. But guess what? When you come to our school, you get to sit in your own chair for the first time in your life. And you go home and tell all your friends, and more friends come to our school so they can sit in the chair and get a good education. But I thought you'd love that story about the chairs. I never thought about it. This is the first time, these are 3, 4, 5, 6-year-old children have never sat in their own chair.
Thanks, Roger. Good.
I get a funny feeling we're gonna have a chair drive here pretty soon. Fill up our house and ship them over to Uganda. I feel that coming on pretty strong here. All right. First off, February, we have some great donations that have been brought in today. Thank you very much for that. Today, we were looking for thick blankets and sleeping bags. Doesn't mean you can't bring those the rest of the month either, if you still, run into those, so please do that. Next week, we're gonna focus on tents, a little bit bigger ones, 4 to 6 person tents, and then tarps of any size. I always use tarps at the house too. So February 16th, hats and gloves, and February 23rd, laundry and cleaning supplies. So please keep it in top of mind. We'll be sending out reminders every week. I'm sure we all have extra stuff around the house that we can gather. If you feel inclined to go purchase stuff, that's awesome too. If you can't bring it to the meeting, for those in Zoom land, or if you can't come to the meetings the rest of the month, send out his email and those notifications, and we'll schedule time to come pick them up. But you're doing great work for not just, the homeless and helping them where they are, but First Off does a lot to help them out of where they are and get out of homelessness, and that's what's most important for our. All right, membership update. As we talked about, Tammy Robertson's been fully approved. We'll move her to orientation induction. Tim Green's application has been fully approved, so excited about that. You guys just received the email on that yesterday for the club review. Alex McDowell just submitted his application. Thank you, Alex. We're excited about that. Roy Long's been reinstated, and we have 4 more folks in the pipeline. And our good friend Jim asked for an application today, so we're really excited about that as well. Thank you, guys. Y'all should have received an email yesterday that has the application and the overall membership document to be able to send out to anyone that might be interested or you'd love to have be a Rotarian. It talks about the membership options. It talks about service on our board and service in the different avenues that we participate in. So please feel free to forward that to any and all people you think might be great Rotarians so we continue to grow our club. We're building some great momentum. And as you guys know, the more folks we have, the bigger impact that we have. All right. Here's something brand new we're excited about. We're not doing a Valentine's Day social with Omicron. We figured, let's not try to bring too many people together, and we've got a lot going on. But we've got a good friend of the club, Reed Kloss, was able to steal a whole bunch of tickets for the Havoc hockey game. And so we have free tickets to the Havoc hockey game Sunday, February 20th. Monday the 21st is a holiday, so y'all can stay up late and sleep in on Monday morning. All you need to do is contact Reed, either his email or his phone number, and reserve your tickets. Probably priority for, members and their spouses before, bringing your friends and stuff like that. But please contact Reed and gobble up those tickets. There is only a certain amount, so it's kind of a first come, first serve. This is in partnership with the Scouts. So the Scouts will be joining us as well, be able to socialize and spend some time with them. So really excited about that. Reed, you have anything else you'd like to add, buddy?
Yes, sir. We have plenty of tickets. So I've secured 100 tickets for the club and the Scouts. So that should be plenty for families and everybody. Just contact me and we'll get you all set up.
Awesome. I'm excited about that. Let's get outside of the club meeting a little bit and have some fun together with our families. And Havoc's in second place right now. I think they're out of first place by 2 points. They won the championship, I think, the past 2 years. So it's a lot of fun watching them out there play. They do a great job. All right. I know that we do have a member announcement. There's a brag out here today. I'm sorry, I forgot who had the brag. Is that you, Art? Yep. Okay, come on up.
Well, actually, it's a little more than a brag. It is a brag, but I also need to make a little explanation. Several weeks ago, I was up here for the 2 truths and a lie, or what, 2 lies and a truth, I don't know.
Depends on who it is.
But to give you a little explanation on that, about the first date that I had with my wife, that I took her down to Switzerland, okay? And that's really true. I'll give you a little background. I was stationed in Friedberg, Germany. My wife, she was a school teacher over in Bad Nohan, which was the town right next to Friedberg. And every year, new teachers would come in, and us bachelors would go over and kind of check them all out and see what's going on, and that sort of thing. And I met her then, but she said, if really she made the point, I came over here to travel. I am not going to be dating or anything like that. So that was that. And then about the next May, she and some of the other school teachers that were over at the Officers Club. And that was kind of a place where us bachelors always went in for dinner most of the time to the officers club, play a game of pool and get something to eat, that sort of thing. They were over there having a party and I spotted her. And I said, I am going to take that girl to Switzerland. A little background on that, one of the officers who used to serve in the same unit as mine, his 2 years as ROTC was up. And so he'd gone back to the States and had gotten a job with Reliance Electric, and they had stationed him to Switzerland. Okay, he'd gotten married and I said, I'm gonna come down and visit you sometime. So I said, this is the perfect opportunity. Well, so I went over and asked her, and I said, will you marry me and we'll go to Switzerland this weekend? And, she didn't slap me. But, I said, well, and I said, look, let's talk about it. And so for the next day or so, we talked about it. And we got on the phone and she actually called my friend and talked to his wife. It's all legitimate and everything like that, but I was not gonna abscond with her. And so we did. We went on down there. My friend had this beautiful chalet that overlooked Lake Lucerne. Okay. And I don't know, but from then on in, we kind of hit it off. I don't know if it was a bribe or what. But anyway, I just thought I'd give you a little background on that I actually did that, and it's now been, as of Friday, 55 years. And I'm going to challenge you all. Everybody ought to come up here and donate, when their anniversary comes up, $1 for each year that they've been married. Just think of what that means to the foundation.
Good thinking.
All right, speaking of two truths and a lie, I almost forgot. I have two people lined up, but I'm going to use one of them today. I'm going to save another one for next week. Bob, I'm excited to have you come up. Bob's been a great member of the Madison Club. I feel like he's a full member of our club and on the district council now. So glad to have you here, Bob.
If you don't know me, I got so many lies that it's hard to find it. In my soccer career, I've been able to play soccer in Ireland, Scotland, England, France, Germany, and Spain. The only place I haven't been able to go yet is Italy. The second one is, in my career, or my life, I should say, I've delivered 9 babies, of which one was a set of twins that weighed 1 gram each and fit in the palm of my hand. The other is I've been 1,100 feet in the air and worked a mile underground.
Number 1. Number 3 is true.
You did play soccer.
Number 1.
Yeah, too many
I
details.
never played soccer. I've taken girls' soccer teams to Europe, but I never played.
Oh, man. All right, a couple membership updates there. Also, Heels Rehab is a process. We've got some pictures from Roger this week of the floors that have been stripped, ready for the new flooring to go in. You've got the new flooring, it sounds like, and you're building a crew to go out there and get it put together. So Cliff's obviously part of that crew, some other folks. I think Gray Hill's gonna be part of that crew. So if you'd like to join that crew, please contact myself or Roger. We'd love to have the help there. Uganda scholarships, we see the great work going on in Uganda and the impact that we're having. We still have some scholarships available, correct, Roger? Just a few. So that window's closing if you'd like to participate. And that's $180 twice a year, once a year, $180. And that's the other half of the scholarship from what the club provides. So
Foundation.
I apologize, the foundation. So the foundation does 53 girls at $180 each. And then we have members here that do the other $180 for those 53 girls. Okay, maybe we can expand that sometime, Roger, you think? Very good. And then board positions, love to have some of you folks on the board. Even if you don't want to take on full responsibility of an avenue of service, you could be a deputy and add some value and help us all make more impact. So please consider that next year for Jim. With that, I think we're ready for our speaker today. Cliff, are you going to come introduce our speaker?
Yeah, real quick.
All right.
You've all seen Joanne's bio that was sent out. That means if you've read your emails that come out from Chris, because we're all excited when he sends us an email. But Joanne started her career in Wayne State University up in Michigan. Got her BA degree in concentration of marketing, then moved on to Wayne State and received her lawyer degree in 1999. Moved here. I don't know where you moved here. And anyway, she's here now and she's part of our club, okay? And that's the main thing. But she's an estate planner. She's does trust and does those type activities. She teaches this course over here at the Arsenal for any soldier that is retiring or in that cycle retire, probably 6 to 7 months in advance. The Army always sends you got to go to these courses so you know what's going on and what's going to happen in retirement. You don't wake up the next day and find out you don't have any money. So with that, Joanne, come on up here and give the.
All right. Okay, good, we're good. So hopefully I won't have to click too much. And this is what I always do. So this, I kind of do a little seminar and it lasts about an hour. So I'm breaking it up. We're not going to talk about trust at all today, but if you find some value in what I have to say, and if there's some room in the schedule, I'm happy to come back and we can talk about that a different day. So a long time ago, when I was in speech class, they said, first you tell people what you're going to talk about, then you talk about it, and then you remind them what you just said. So we're going to start with that. This is what we're going to talk about. And this is the order we're going to talk about it. And when I used to do these classes, I would do a reverse order because people always want to talk about wills first. But I don't want to miss time. And in today's COVID world, I think it's more important for us to have some communication about the healthcare documents first. So we're going to do a little bit different. So the first document we're going to talk about is called the Advanced Directive for Healthcare. Okay, this is the best part about what I'm about to say. You can get one of these for free. The Alabama State Bar website has them. You guys all have my email address. I'll email you one for free. There's really no reason why every single person shouldn't have this document, which is called, healthcare document, the Advanced Directive for Healthcare. Okay. There are two parts to this document. The first part is called a living will. Who's been to the hospital and they say, do you have a living will? Well, if you fill out this form, you answer, yes, I have a living will, and here it is. So it's a good thing. So what is the point of a living will? It says what you want to happen in two different circumstances. The first circumstance is you are unconscious. You're not capable of speaking for yourself. And when I mean not capable of speaking, I mean, you can blink your eyes once for yes, twice for no, tap your finger, any kind of affirmative or negative communication, you'll make your own decision. So you're already in a coma to start with, and you're terminally ill. Terminally ill by our state law is defined as a doctor believes that you have less than 6 months to live, okay? In a coma, less than 6 months to live. Do you want life-sustaining treatment? Read that to me. Do you want to be on a ventilator? Do you want a feeding tube or IV feedings? And those are your decisions to make. There's no right decision. There's no wrong decision, but that's what they're going to ask you. And that will give guidance to the person that you name as your healthcare proxy, which is the second part. So the first major thing you're doing is saying, this is what I want when I can't speak for myself. And two, this is the person I want to put that order into place, okay? So the main thing, and I'm sorry, I got off track for a second. There's two parts to that document. First is if you're unconscious and terminally ill. The second is if you're unconscious and 2 doctors have certified you have no brain activity. Okay, so those are the two circumstances that you would utilize the advanced directive for healthcare. So, and there are lots of different options. You can say my healthcare proxy only does what I say. They can do what I say on this form and other things, or they can make the final decision. Whatever they say goes. You don't have to make those choices if you're not comfortable making those choices. The reason I bring this up is many people don't know what they want, and that's okay. But if you talk, this is a good opportunity. Look, this is a really different world that we live in than it was 2 years ago. So it's probably a good idea to have these conversations with your family members so they know what would you want if you were making end of life decisions. So that's why I want to spend a little extra time on that. Does anybody have any questions? I just threw a lot of stuff out, really quick about this document or about what it does. But I do think that's part of a good estate plan. I do think if you're trying to get your affairs in order, make things easier for your family, this is a good document to have because it'll give them guidance about what you chose when you were well so that they can implement your choices when you can't speak for yourself. Yes?
So I have a question.
Absolutely.
Every time I go wherever, do you have a living will? Yeah. Is it near the hospital? Well, yeah. One time I took it.
Yeah.
How do I know it's there? Does it matter?
Oh, yeah. Just, what I tell people, mine's in my glove box in my car. I got another copy in the outside zip of my suitcase. A lot of my clients, are ladies that have big old purses like I have, and they just carry both of them, his and hers, in their purse. So yeah, the way the Huntsville Hospital records work, they were one of the first places to do electronic records. Every admission's its own file. So yeah, you gave it to them, but that might have been 4 admissions ago, and they can't find it anyway. So you probably have to carry it with you. And I'm glad you brought that up, because there's another point that people don't realize. This is not a do not resuscitate order. Even if you write on this document, do not resuscitate, if it is your intent that you do not want to be resuscitated, if something were to happen to you and you cannot speak for yourself, if you come into the hospital and you're conscious, you must say, I do not want to be resuscitated. If you come in conscious and don't say it, your healthcare proxy cannot do that afterwards. I know it's kind of weird, but the concept is you had a chance to choose that and you didn't choose it. Okay, so they want to make sure that everything's good. So this is the first document. There's no excuse not to have this document. You can get it online. And the big woohoo about it is you have to sign it in the presence of 2 unrelated witnesses who do not provide health care for you. So you can't do it once you're in the hospital, get the nurse to witness it or the aide. So that's not a good thing. So it's good to talk to your family so they know what you want, okay? Any more questions on this? I'm gonna go on to the next document because I only got 20 minutes. Okay, so this next document is something we've just started implementing at my office, which is a healthcare durable power of attorney. The surgery center and some other places aren't really letting people come in when you're having surgery. And remember that first document, the advanced directive for healthcare, I told you that talks about when you're unconscious and either terminally ill or 2 doctors say that you have no brain activity, okay? But there are lots of other times when you're unconscious, like you're coming, for surgery, or they purposely put you in an unconscious state to recuperate from an auto accident or something like that. And there are times when people need to make medical decisions for you just because you're unconscious. That other document, the advanced directive, doesn't really cover that. So you need a different document that's just a power of attorney for healthcare decisions, okay? And I really think it's a good idea for everyone to have one of these because you may have different people that you choose. One of the issues I've seen in my practice, I know there's some other lawyers who probably done this in the room too. Sometimes ladies don't want to unplug their husband, and their husband doesn't want to be on a machine. And so he picks his brother-in-law who doesn't like him anyway to be his healthcare proxy. Oh, no, I'm me. He'll do what I say. So you know what I'm saying? You got to think about what the job is and who's the right person for the job. And I think that's a good theme to have whenever you're considering what your plans are going to be, which is a really good segue into my next topic, which is the general durable power of attorney. Now, let me talk about what this is, and let me talk about what this isn't, because I think a lot of people get very confused about this document. The general durable power of attorney, you hear me keep saying all these words over and over again, they mean something. The word durable has to appear in the title. If it's not a durable power of attorney, it's not effective if you ever become incompetent. Well, that's when you need it to be effective, is when you're incompetent, you can't sign your name. You've had a stroke and you can't sign your name, or you've got advanced dementia. You physically can't sign your name. You're like in a circle. So it's very important that you have the right document that's going to hold up when you need it. It does not exist after you're dead. It terminates at death. I can't tell you how many phone calls we get in our office where people, I don't know what I hit. Oh, there we go. I can't tell you how many times we get a phone call for someone, oh, I'm my mother's agent, she just passed away, and I need to probate her will. Well, are you on the will? Because the power of attorney, being her agent, that died when your mom died. So it's really important to know it's only good while you're alive. The other thing is, a long time ago, attorneys used to do documents that were called springing powers of attorney. And it would spring into life magically when your doctor said you were no longer competent to handle your financial affairs. The problem is, like, what, 20 years ago now, we have had HIPAA provisions. Doctors aren't going to tell anybody anything about you unless you signed a thing saying it. And doctors are really hesitant to say this. So most attorneys stopped doing springing powers of attorney and just do ones that are just general durable powers of attorney that are effective immediately. So you don't have to talk to a doctor to say you can't handle your stuff. So the point I want to make about that is people say, well, what if my agent steals from me? Well, then you just appointed a felon as your agent, because breaching a fiduciary duty is a felony. If your agent isn't doing what you told them to do for your benefit as the principal under the power of attorney, you've got bigger issues. Your issue is with the person that you picked, not with giving them the power. If you don't trust them that they're not going to misuse that document while you're still competent, then why are they your agent? You need to think about who you trust to not use your document unwisely and to follow your directions and to manage your funds for your personal benefit. Now, we are nice people in this room. We help others, and we build ramps and we do good things for people. We are oftentimes, correct me if I'm wrong, the responsible adults in the rooms that we live in. So sometimes we're the responsible kid that manages mom and dad's care, or Aunt Millie who has no good children, or whatever. So this is why I like to say this, and when I do the seminar for the government, I always focus on this because they tend to be very responsible adults as well. Powers of attorney can protect you when you're helping somebody else. For instance, if you're at Huntsville Hospital signing your mom into the hospital, your mom's going in an ambulance and you're following behind and they throw a bunch of paperwork at you. Then the teeny tiny little small print, it says, if insurance doesn't pay or Medicare doesn't pay, I accept financial responsibility. Well, if you're not mom's agent, you don't have access to her medical records. You don't have access to her insurance records. You can't argue with Medicare about it, or Blue Cross or whoever about it. But you just did sign a contract saying you would pay if the insurance company didn't pay. So it's really nice if you're managing an elderly person's care, or someone who has medical issues and you're helping them, for you to be their agent. So when you sign them into the hospital, you're signing them in as their agent with no personal financial liability on yourself. So powers of attorney can protect the agent as well as protecting and helping the principal. Another thing in our practice, people will oftentimes get a dementia diagnosis and then come in and want to do their estate planning documents. But unfortunately, and that's fine, as long as they still have their wits about them enough and they're competent to make decisions at that point. But sometimes people wait too late and they wait till after a stroke. So these are documents you got to think about when you're healthy and when you can think clearly and when you make rational decisions. It's hard to make these decisions later, and maybe they're just difficult decisions to make. And sometimes you need different people doing different things. You know, the kid who lives in town maybe needs to be your agent because they're going to be the one running you to the hospital. But the kid who's an attorney who lives in another state is maybe, or a CPA living in another state, maybe they're the better person to be the personal representative of your estate because they're, you know, they know what needs to be done, and that's a different set of jobs. So lots of times we have different people doing different things, and that's okay. You just kind of need to sit down and think about what you want and who's going to do what you want. Okay, that's all I had to say about the general durable power of attorney, unless somebody else wants to ask a question or talk about it. We'll get into the good stuff. Yeah. Okay. So whenever people talk about estate planning, they always talk about a will, okay? And everybody says, oh, I have a will, but we didn't probate it. Okay. Yeah, mom died. She left me everything. She disinherited all my siblings, but yeah, I just took it. We didn't probate it. That's not how that works. That's not how that works. So a will has to be probated to have legal effect. There's this great book one of my friends had. It's about this thick, and it's called Wills of the Rich and Famous. And it's got all these people's wills in it. I mean, it's like I said, it's like this thick. It's a paperback. And how do we know all their wills? Because they're public records. So when you do a will, your will is a public document when it's probated, and everybody sees what you chose to do. So when you disinherited your son, they all know you disinherited your son. Whatever you chose to do, it's there for the whole world to see. So there's a privacy issue about a will. The other thing that I always like to talk to people about is the fact that someone dies on a Tuesday. It's not magic. Everything goes and everybody gets everything and it's done. And, you know, by Friday, it's all over. It's a process. There's a creditor's claims period that lasts 6 months from the day that the will is admitted to probate. If all of the people that are the next of kin, if you're married, that's your spouse and your children. If you have no children and you have no spouse, it's your parents. If your parents predeceased you, it could be your siblings and then the lineal descendants of your siblings, if they predeceased you. So sometimes finding the next of kin is a little fun little fact-finding mission in and of itself. But either all of your next of kin have to consent or you have to have a hearing. And that can take up to 30 days. Probate court get backed up. So let's pretend you died January 1st. And I like to go through this exercise so people can see how does this really work when someone dies. So January 1st, you die. You get in to see a lawyer around the 10th or the 15th of January. Everybody agrees, no issues. So you get letters, testamentary, because you had a will. If you don't have a will, they're called letters of administration. So you either die with a will, testate, or without a will, intestate. So think about it, if you don't have a will, the state of Alabama kind of wrote one for you, and they decided who's going to get your stuff. And it's going to be your next of kin. So you can't disinherit somebody unless you have a will. That's the only way that you can do that. So you got this will, we probated it, you got letters testamentary, say they're dated January 31st. Well, now you have to give notice to all the creditors. That's, you know, the MasterCard, the Visa, the car, if you got a car payment, the mortgage company, you know, Huntsville Utilities, the Verizon for the phone, whatever. So you give notice to all your creditors, and then the clock starts ticking from that January 31st. So February, March, April, May, June, July. So we get to like around August 1st, give or take. And that's 6 months. The creditor's claims period is expired. Creditors who made a claim, they get paid. If they didn't make a claim, they don't get paid. They're barred forever. We got the 6 month period. That's when people start getting stuff, presuming that all the creditors are paid. Well, what happens if you don't have enough money? to pay all the creditors. Then you can file an insolvency petition and then the creditors will get a percentage on the dollar. It's kind of like, almost like a bankruptcy for a state. So there's a way to manage regardless of what's left. You know, we all know Beth Brooks. Beth Brooks always says, the last check I write is gonna be to you, Joanne Perez, and it's gonna bounce. So, you know, I'm not telling you you have to have a whole lot of stuff, but I will tell you this. I will say that if you can plan, and again, I don't really have the time to talk about trust today. A trust is a good planning tool. A will is a good planning tool. The failure to plan literally is a plan to fail in this case, because when you don't have a will, you have to post a bond, you have to file an inventory, you have to do an accounting if any, well, you have to do an accounting if any of the beneficiaries request an accounting anyway, but you have to do an accounting and administration. So there's a lot of additional costs, and the cost of doing a will is significantly cheaper than the cost of not doing a will. So the takeaways that I would hope that you have for today: one, no reason not to have some instructions for your family about healthcare stuff. The Advanced Directive for Healthcare is a free document that you can download. Two, everybody needs a will, a minimum. Even if you have a trust, you can just have a will that says put everything in my trust, okay? But a will help your family when you're gone. It's the only way that you can disinherit somebody. It will save money because, like, I just did a bond yesterday, $1,250 for a bond for $200,000. That's a lot of money. Wills don't cost $1,250. So it's a cost saving mechanism. Plus, this is what I tell them, it's the last thing you get to say to your kids. This is your last opportunity to speak. I don't know about you. I'm Italian. I'm going to speak whenever I can. So I'm not going to pass that up. So I ended early on purpose so that I could take questions from any of you. Anybody got any questions? Yes.
When one spouse passes before the other, doesn't necessarily mean that everything automatically goes to the spouse, correct?
So that is a great question. So a lot of people talk about your estate, and they think of your estate as everything you own, okay? But, and that's what the government thinks of your estate. That's called the gross estate, and that's what they decide whether or not you have to pay taxes on it. I'm gonna talk about taxes in a second. You are correct. So for instance, what if you have a Redstone Federal Credit Union account and your son is a beneficiary of that account? It goes according to your son. It would go to your son because that's a contract that you have. So when you name the will or the laws of intestate succession only apply to things that don't already have a beneficiary designation. So like if you have a life insurance policy and it's your niece is the beneficiary, she's going to get the life insurance policy. And I will tell you guys this, I have lots of issues with this in my practice because people have beneficiaries that have predeceased them. A husband and wife died. The wife was the beneficiary of the husband's life insurance, but the wife dies 5 years before the husband. So by the time the husband dies, there is no beneficiary. So we have to open up an estate to receive the funds from that life insurance policy. So yes, it's kind of like we have to do a little bit of a balance sheet, decide what you have and who's on what. The other thing I would like to tell you is some of your parents that you manage their care may potentially be Medicaid eligible, and Medicaid really hates it if a child is a co-owner on an account. It would be better to access those funds as an agent under a power of attorney. Our laws here are if you've got two names on a joint account and one person dies, it automatically goes to the second person. Doesn't go through the whole probate process. So that's a little bit different. I did want to say, oh, go ahead, Ed.
Related to wills, I would imagine that most of us in here have wills. I mean, we've been around for a while, so we understand it. But the issue is not whether we have a will. The issue is whether your kids and your grandkids have a will, because grandkids think they're going to live forever.
Yes, they do.
I mean, the youngest kids that are presented with the need to do a will are young soldiers, sailors, and airmen. because every time they deploy, they have to complete those documents before they deploy. But all these kids that are going to school and college, they don't think about that. But yet how many of them may pass because of a tragic car accident or an overdose or whatever?
And those are particularly expensive to administer those estates because they didn't have any, a lot of them aren't married and they don't have another beneficiary named on their accounts. And so we've got to open up an estate and big bonds on that. Yeah, you're exactly right.
Well, I'm a product of my dad dying without a will. Very young. And all of the estate, most of the estate went to paying lawyer fees. That's because if there's no will, especially if they own a business,
Yeah.
you got all these estimates you got to get and you got to pay for. You got to get all these advice from lawyers and stuff. They got to file all the documents. They're charging hourly rates, prepare the document, file the document to go stand there in the county clerk's office while it's getting done, et cetera. So it's, pay me now, pay me later.
Yes, and if I come back to do a part 2 about trust, I'll explain that trusts are actually more economical than wills because there's none of the back end costs associated with wills. Plus, you can immediately get access to the funds with a trust that you, as soon as you have the death certificate, effectively. I did want to say one more thing that you just reminded me of, and that is the estate tax exemption amount. People are always asking about that. And right now, I believe it's $12,120,000 per person. Now, if nothing at all changes, literally nothing, I know, phew, just under. If nothing at all changes, it will revert back to the pre-Trump tax cut number, which was $5 million per person adjusted for inflation. The best guesstimate on that is really hovering around 6 million. So for a married couple in a state of 12 million. I like to always say that when I talk to people because people are always worried about there's no death tax, you get to die for free. There's no inheritance tax in Alabama that any of us need to worry about. And for estate taxes, most of us probably don't have a taxable estate. And the few of us that do, come see me, I'll take care of that. Yes, Roger.
So the question I'm about to ask is appropriate more when you come back to talk about trust. For instance, you may have a son-in-law that you really don't want to have him control your assets, but you want to have your daughter control your assets after.
Yes.
Within a trust.
Yes, trust, yeah, you can do lots of things. So there's 2 kinds of trust. There's the regular trust, people are used to talking about it's a living trust, a loving trust, a management trust, a revocable trust, all those words, a grantor trust, all those words mean effectively the same thing. Like your trust that you put your stuff in, you own your house in your trust. And then when you die, certain things happen. There's that type of trust. Or there's a type of trust that's in a will called a testamentary trust. And many attorneys do testamentary trust. And the word testamentary trust just means it's in a will. They do trust in a will because they have to pay taxes, like estate taxes. So it's kind of gone out of favor now to put the trust in the will and they stand alone. But yeah, you can write anything. And you can write anything in a will. In a will, even in a will, you could have a testamentary trust that would handle those things. But one of the benefits about having a trust is that you don't have to go through the probate process. But we'll talk about that whenever I come back and talk about trust. I just wanted to, yes, sir.
I have a quick question.
Absolutely.
What if you're divorced and your spouse didn't remarry and you don't have a will? What happens then?
Okay, so when you're divorced, your legal relationship is severed. So they don't have any ability to inherit from you. You have no legal relationship with them. But what often happens, and I've spoken to singles groups and said, look, if you got little kids and you don't have a will, your worst nightmare could come true. Your kids go with your ex, and your ex ends up having access to all your money because the court's going to appoint them to be the guardian of your kids because they're the natural parent. So a lot of time, and that's another really good point. It's important to have a will if you've got minor children. It's important for your kids. Talk to your kids about your grandkids to make sure that they have a will. I just talked to my daughter literally this morning on my way here, telling her she's pregnant with my second grandchild, saying, you guys need to get that will signed. So I'm with you. I can't even get my own with a lot of pressure to get it. Yes,
Question.
sure.
Assets that are transferred on debt, are they part of a will or are they outside?
No, they're not part of the will because they've got to deal with the financial institution or, you know, the beneficiary of the insurance policy or the bank or, you know, if you've got a managed, like with a brokerage account or whatever that rule is, it's a contract and it follows that contract. But it is part of your gross estate for the purposes of setting your taxes. So it's still part of your estate, but it's not part of your probate estate, which is like a subset of the whole estate. All right, any other questions? I can stay a little bit later if you want to ask, because I had a 2 o'clock that canceled, they had COVID, so. I can hang out if you guys want to ask personal questions. Your best chance to get free legal advice. But then again, you know what they say, you get what you pay for.
Thank you, Brenda. That was great. I can tell you guys, 27 years in banking, I see a lot of these things play out on the finance side, you know, and there are some differences in terms of what you set up with the bank versus what you try to set up legally. And if they don't align very well, it causes a lot of challenges down the road. And unfortunately, when you see some of the worst come out of people, it's when someone dies and there's family members and there's money involved. So, you know, having this stuff taken care of is very important. And that was some great insight, you know, I appreciate that. Not only is she good at this, but she's the best fundraiser I've ever seen. So double duty there, appreciate you. Any other announcements that we need to cover? Okay, with that, let's stand and do the 4-way test. Right, of all the things that we think, say, or do. First,
Is it true?
second,
Is it fair to all concerned?
third, and fourth.
Beneficial to all concerned.
Thanks for being here today and thanks for being Rotarians. Have a great day.
Thanks. Bye.
I can't.